now let me welcome former U.S. Congressman Peter Deutsch. He represented Florida's 20th congressional district from 1993 to 2005. He's just endorsed Donald Trump, but here's the twist. He's also a lifelong Democrat who has said that on issues of foreign policy and national security, the Harris-Biden team have been a disaster, accusing them of being too weak on Iran and not doing enough to help Israel fight its enemies who are bent not just on the destruction of the Jewish state, but ultimately the West as well. Welcome to the program, Peter Deutsch. Want to ask you, in making your announcement, you said that you believe the Harris-Biden administration has made the world a less safe place. Explain how.
Well, deterrence is critical in terms of foreign policy. At the present time, I'm not sure the United States has any deterrence. That's number one. But also not acknowledging the nature of the Iranian regime is just a tragic flaw. I mean, Iran has shown who they are. I mean, under President Trump, he put sanctions on them. I mean, he got out of JOPA. And effectively, they were bankrupt. They were not able to fund their terrorist operations. Effectively, as soon as the Harris-Biden administration came into office, they let the money start flowing. $100 billion has gone to them, and that money has gone to terrorists that have killed Americans, have killed Israelis, have killed other nationals as well.
Yeah, I mean, what do you make then of, because, throughout the administration, but even recently, the Biden-Harris administration, we've seen this real two-faced policy when it comes to Iran. On the one hand, trying to say, oh, Israel's our friend, but Iran, here's $100 billion. And even this week, now we've seen, on the one hand, sending troops and missile defense systems to Israel, and on the other hand, threatening Israel and their military aid. It seems to me that the American foreign policy when it comes to Iran and Israel is really incoherent. I'd like your thoughts.
Well, again, I think if you listen to it, the present policy is not incoherent. In a sense, it's incoherent that I'm not sure the Harris-Biden administration knows who their friends are. What has Iran done, in the last 10 years, but particularly since October 7th? It's inconceivable from an objective analysis that anyone would not see them for who they are. 24 American ships, American naval vessels, have been attacked by the Houthis since October 7th. The Biden administration has done nothing about those attacks. President Trump, while he was in office, designated the Houthis a terrorist organization, which has severe ramifications in terms of their finances. When President Biden came into office, he literally lifted that designation. I mean, you probably have heard about this, but it's been reported actually by the Biden administration now that Iran, the country Iran, has literally attempted to assassinate President Trump, Secretary Pompeo, National Security Advisor Bolton, on American soil. I mean, President Trump talked about what he would do if he was president, and a country tried to do that to an American president or former president.
How much also of the policy, particularly the post-October 7th policy regarding Israel and Iran, has been about, do you think, courting Muslim voters in swing states like Michigan? And how much has that changed American foreign policy, those domestic electoral considerations?
I tell you, I don't actually think very much, because this is before the election. This has been for 4 years. There are some Muslim voters that Palestinian right, Hamas rights are a major issue for them. But in a country of 350 million people, they're relatively insignificant. I mean, there is a huge consensus in the country in terms of support for Israel that I think is almost universal. The problem is that when Kamala Harris talks about supporting Israel and defending Israel and providing Israel with resources, sometimes I think she thinks that if Israel had bows and arrows, that would be enough resources to defend themselves.
Yeah. And I mean, how much do you think that the that the foreign policy establishment under Biden and Harris just doesn't get it, because one thing that I see is that they don't sort of understand the complex natures of the Middle East, that you've got all of these Sunni states that under the Trump administration were coming together, behind and on the same side of Israel, that they're actually tearing the Middle East apart here by reinflaming these tensions between the Shiite Iranian regime and the Sunni Arab world.
When we know that their intention is to have a ballistic missile program with nuclear warheads on them to attack not just Israel, but to attack the United States.
What would you hope then out of a Trump presidency, assuming that Trump gets reelected here? What would you like to see, or what do you expect that foreign policy would look like again towards Iran? I mean, I presume it would be the same sort of thing, but what would you hope? Because, of course, obviously now we're in a post-October 7th world, and in many ways the United States kind of helped give Hamas some of that money that helped them do that. So what would you like to see Trump do if he comes back into office in November and is inaugurated in January?
Well, we had 4 years of President Trump. We had peace and prosperity. I would expect another 4 years of peace and prosperity. I mean, the issue is that President Trump was willing to use and project American power. I mean, he eliminated General Soleimani. While Vice President Harris was a senator, you can go on YouTube and get the quotes. She criticized that action. And I think when people, I said it once, but sometimes it's worth saying again, there have been 24 United States naval vessels that have been attacked effectively by Iran in kinetic attacks. I mean, trying to destroy them. The United States has done nothing to the Iranians or their proxy, the Houthis, which is really the Iranians. I mean, when we one of the things since October 7th, the sort of, hey, that's not us situation is laughable. I mean, when the pagers went off, Iranian generals got pages. When Nasrallah was killed, the key Iranian general in the area was also killed. I mean, to say, and again, there's lots of the documents that have come out since October 7th tying direct Iranian involvement to these people.
Yeah,
I agree. It's not. It's insane. It's not believable. It doesn't stand up to any analysis of who they are.